Hey guys and girls out there in MIDI Guitar land, it's Dolly coming at you from Sydney, Australia. And today I want to have a look at Logic Pro for iPad in conjunction with MIDI Guitar 3. So I'm a little bit late to the Logic Pro for iPad party. I know it's been around for quite a while already, but for various reasons I had been unable to test it previously. And so I thought it would be worth giving it a go. Obviously, it's more of a DAW than a host. I tend to work in hosts often, like Sessions or AUM or 8 Matrix, Audio Bus, the ones, even Loopy Pro. But as far as DAWs for iOS, iPadOS go, I've been using Cubase's 3. It says LE, it's actually the 3 version, just the way I got into it. For the longest time. And I haven't really taken DAWs on iPadOS too seriously. I have always thought Cubasis is a bit of a toy. And so I've been really interested to try out Logic Pro. But basically, to me, the most important thing is, can I get a good sound up and running reasonably quickly with it? And so I'm just going to dive in with Logic Pro. Now, I downloaded it, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. My trial's almost due to end. So part of it is me kind of like trying to make a quick decision. Oh, do I really want to hang on to this? Is this something I need in my life, or do I just want to stick to the host thing? So I'm just going to dive in and see what I can do with it. And hopefully, if you want to come along the journey with me, you might learn something along the way. So first things first. Okay, so let's launch Logic Pro. So when we open it up, how does this work? Is it on my iPad? Maybe it's here, Logic Pro for iPad. Okay, so I don't have any projects here yet. I'm going to create a project. Now, I had been trying to use a mouse in continuity mode for this earlier, but it wasn't really working. I'll try again, see how it goes. I might have to abandon it. So we get a new project, Logic Pro, new empty project. So I'm just going to set up Logic Pro first because I want it to have an established sample rate and everything. Now, I've kind of played with it a bit before, so some of the settings might already have kind of been established. But let's just create an audio track. It doesn't really matter what it is, just any old audio track, just so that we've got something. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up MIDI Guitar 3. Okay, so I'm calling this method 1. Now, when you open up MIDI Guitar 3, the first thing you get is MIDI Guitar Mini. This is a preset that just does straight pitch to MIDI. Of course, you want to check your settings. My tracker is on the regular MIDI Guitar tracker. My audio devices are set to, well, the way iOS works is you can only really have one audio interface connected at any given time. So iOS audio is just whichever interface is active at the moment. Channel 10 is the guitar input of my audio interface. 1 and 2 is the output. Okay, so I'm going to hit apply. It's actually going to reset everything. And when you reset, it reopens the introduction patch. So I'm just going to open MIDI Guitar Mini again. And there we are. Okay, so it always instantiates this virtual MIDI output. I think this could be a little bit more clearly labeled. I think it should probably say virtual MIDI output for Standalone or something like that, rather than saying Logic or GarageBand, because it would lead you to believe that you could use the virtual MIDI output in Logic or GarageBand, but as the case is, you cannot, and we'll get to that later. So let me just grab my guitar. So if everything's set up correctly, I should immediately see action on the GUI here. And if I were to open a MIDI monitor, for example, protocol, I'm pretty sure we'll start to see data flowing. So we know that everything's working. So now we're going to hop into Logic Pro, and the two things I want anytime I'm recording guitar stuff is I want to have a great guitar tone and I want to have a great guitar synth tone. So let's just initially start with, I'm going to add a MIDI track, software instrument. And what have we got here? So just bearing in mind that I am not entirely familiar with this software yet. I have used Logic Pro for macOS plenty, and it's pretty intuitive, I think, but I feel like some things are a little bit different in here. Anyway, I'm just going to go for the 70s analog lead. Okay, so I've got a synth, and it seems like I've already got the guitar. I've already got MIDI Guitar 3 triggering it. So I think if we have a look under this guy here, we can see the MIDI inputs for this channel. So MIDI input here is all. If I turn it off, we shouldn't hear anything. Just the mic. Now, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select MIDI Guitar out. And there it is, it's active again. I would just point out that in the settings here, you do have to ensure that your desired MIDI ports are available. You can see here I've got these activated, but I could turn them off. Yeah, so it just depends what you need. Okay. So I've got a guitar synth tone, or I've got a synth tone, and I just want to get some of that vibrato off. It was sounded a bit warbly for my likings. I'm just going to take it down a bit, not all the way. So what have we got now? Now I think these synths automatically respond to MPE. What's that? Oh, MIDI effects. Okay, cool. I guess that's audio effects. Yeah, so if you wanted to put a bit of chroma verb or something afterwards, what do we got? Maybe generic synth hole, that might be a good one. Okay, so that's how I get back from here. So now I'm at the... Well, it's quite a lot, but that's okay. I'm thinking it might be prudent just to... Oh, the gate's set quite high, isn't it? I don't know why I had it up there. If I leave it down. Okay. As I understand, it's better to have the gate off, or at least have it set as low as possible, because the processing can kind of interfere with the conversion. Okay, so now I've got a pretty reasonable synth tone, and now I want to go in and build a guitar tone. So let's just quickly rename this. I'm going to call it, what am I going to call it? Guitar, maybe. Okay, and audio effects. Now, what do I want? I could use an internal amp and pedal, I guess, or what else can I use? I can use third party. I'm going to go for, I've been leaning on Altera DSP a lot lately. What else have we got in here? Go for Yonak. So, what have we got? Okay, so of course I need to set up the I/O of this track. So let me just tell the track what the input is meant to be. Whoop, there we go. So I'm going to need a gate or something on that. I'm just going to pull that down for now. Yeah, okay, I'll add a gate in here. So I guess that's going to be under dynamics. Noise gate. Didn't go exactly where I wanted it to go, but maybe I need to use my finger on that. There we go. That works much better. So I'll bring the... What's the threshold? I don't know. Let me just see how it goes there. Okay, that's quite loud. I might try and take the volume down this amp a bit, rather than just pulling down that. Okay. All right, so okay, that's a bit more visually manageable. So now I should have Okay, so that's a sound that works. And so if I want to record that, create folder stack. Maybe I drag that one into it. Is that how it works? So is that a stack now? Okay, so maybe just for the sake of consistency, I probably should have actually made this a Logic instrument, or a Logic amp and pedal. What else have we got here? Good old Marshall. Okay, I'm just thinking it could probably use some extra drive or something. Maybe I can add in a distortion or overdrive. What we got? Okay, that's a sound. And if we really actually wanted to kind of get a bit more, I could probably take that. I could take that reverb and put it on a bus, but it's okay for now. And what is so that's my stack. So if I wanted to kind of like really sort of separate those sounds a bit more, I could always put in a transposer module. I thought that was under here. Where is it? Pitch maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and so now my synth is an octave lower. So that's it. So that's pretty much the easiest way to get going. Let me try that again. So it was a bit of slop there. So one, two, three. Okay, so I'm just kind of like wiggling my fingers around. That's right, gotta turn your input monitoring off. And so I guess probably, so I'm guessing a way to do that is probably here. Like so. Alright, so I want to hear my guitar. There we go. Okay, so there you go. We got guitar and we got synth, and they're happening together. So that was method 1, and that was using MIDI Guitar 3 as a standalone application. And now let's have a look at method 2. Okay, so for this approach, I'm going to use the audio unit version of MIDI Guitar 3. And you can instantiate MIDI Guitar 3 as an audio plugin or as a MIDI plugin. So first things first, I'm just going to right click on that and I'm going to select patch instrument, and you can see here that it knows some of the things I've used recently. It's got a memory of recent things, but I might just say go down to here to MIDI controlled effects and then go to Jam Origin, and I'll grab MIDI Guitar, and I'm just going to create it. There we go. And so here's MIDI Guitar now on a track, and I'm going to rename it, if it'll let me. Okay. I'm also going to add an audio track. I guess the order that you do this in doesn't particularly matter, but I'm going to call this track DI. I guess I could have done this one first, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. So on this track, if I have a look at, okay, so I've got to be careful with the mouse. If I have a look on the settings, okay, so what have I got here? I got the right input. I don't actually need an output to a hardware device. I need a bus here. So I'm going to use this bus. Actually, I didn't need bus 2. What am I doing? First things first, I'm just going to tidy this up. I don't like having confusing information in my sets. Delete anyway. Okay, so that's deleted. Okay, so I'm going to just jump up here and try this again. So on this DI track, I want to select the output and I want it to be bus 1. Okay, that's good. I'm not going to mess around with any of that other stuff. That's good enough. So now I'm going to get rid of the mixer so I can just see the individual tracks. And I'm going to go down to MIDI Guitar 3 and I want to open up the plugin here. In the plugin at the top, you'll see this sidechain input. I'm going to select bus 1. Now the reason I'm doing this is simply so I can kind of like separate out my signals. So on track 1, I have a guitar signal. On track 2, the guitar signal is getting funneled into MIDI Guitar 3. If I play now, you should see some action. You should see some action, but you're not seeing any action now. Why is that? Is it because I haven't input monitored it? Okay, I didn't record enable it. Now it's record enabled, and now, go away, you should see some activity happening on this track. The problem we have here is that it has loaded the MIDI Guitar Mini preset, just like the Standalone did. But the MIDI output module here opens up no MIDI output. Now, if I'm playing, I can see that there's activity on here, right? You can see that it's moving, it's flashing. But I can't see any evidence that this particular module is actually outputting MIDI. So what you have to do, you're probably thinking, oh, well, I'll just grab the virtual MIDI output. Nothing happens when you do that. And again, if I open up protocol, you can see there's no activity whatsoever. Okay, so this is not going to work. Let's try direct MIDI output. Now we can see we've got sending MIDI out to the track. Okay, this is good. So we got audio coming in, we got the audio funneling through to MIDI Guitar 3. We've now got MIDI generated, but where are we going to get the MIDI from? Well, let's create a new track. Let's use that retro synth again. And let's create it. Okay. So I'm just going to keep this kind of clear. That's the synth sound. So it's the same one. I'm going to rename this as synth. Okay, and in the settings here for this particular track, I'm going to go down to MIDI input, and it says all, but you'll notice that nothing's happening. So the reason here is that the MIDI Guitar out virtual MIDI port is not active, and it can't be active at this stage. It might be something that the developer can work on. I'm not really sure. I'm going to change this to off. I'll come back to this, okay? But internal MIDI in, I'm going to click on that now, and I'm going to choose instrument output. This means we're taking the output from the MIDI Guitar plugin and we're sending it to the input of this synth. And now we can hear we've got okay, we got MIDI coming through. Now, there's a problem here. And I'm not sure if this is a bug or if this is something to do with the way Logic works or what it is. But I can tell you in no uncertain terms that there is a lag, an inherent latency when using this internal MIDI to get MIDI from the plugin here down to here. So if you're playing pads or something and it's not timing critical, okay, maybe you could get away with it. But I don't like it. So first things first, I'm just going to quickly add in an audio track. And on this audio track, I'm going to give it input monitoring. And the patch I'm going to select, I guess just empty. Yep. Okay. And on this track, I'm going to rename it as guitar. Okay. So maybe guitar amp would be a better way to name it because we've already got our DI track, which is actually guitar up there. Okay. And on this track, I'm going to go into amps and pedals, amp designer. What am I going to choose? I don't want to use amp designer actually. Instrument patches, audio patches. It's going to be audio patches, right? So guitar, amp, and I guess we're in the realm of something cool here. I don't know what's moving lead. I never ever use the built-in stuff in phase. Very hissy. Let me see if I can take some treble off that. I give it a splash of reverb. Let's give it all the gain. I think this would take me some time to like get a sound that I'm really happy with, but it's okay for what it is now, just to get things moving. So we've got synth and we've got guitar. So we now you can hear the difference there between the guitar and the synth, and so to me this is not acceptable. I'm not prepared to work with a situation like this. Options you might have are, I'm kind of lucky in that my interface has some built-in MIDI ports, so I could choose, if I can see them, I can choose one of the MIDI ports from my interface. And then I can go into the synth track and go back to the settings and turn the internal MIDI off, forget about that, and go straight for this guy. And immediately I can it's immediately playable. Okay, so there's something not great about the internal MIDI. I'm going to stop harping on about it now. What are the other options we might have? Okay, well, maybe rather than using the MIDI track as I did for the other, maybe we could try using an audio track. How would that go? What if I keep it mono? What if I take bus input from DI and I activate the input monitoring and then I just create a new track? So there we go, I've got a new track. I'm going to rename it MIDI Guitar 3 like we did before. And now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find MIDI Guitar again. And so I've got guitar, I don't have synth. what happens if I try the virtual MIDI output? I think we're in the same boat. There's still no way to get the MIDI internally. There is no internal MIDI, and externally the MIDI guitar output doesn't build. So we're sort of out of luck there. So that's not going to work. We could go back to what I was just doing before, and we could use one of the interface ports, if you can see them. Okay, so I know I can do that. And that's going to work as long as I make sure I select the MIDI input. Okay, so I can do that. That's now an audio track. But I can't really see any special point in doing it that way, because I probably want to get MIDI into the track too anyway when I want to use an expression pedal or something. So what other options have we got here? Well, the only other option that you might have, if you wanted to not use the inbuilt synth, is in MIDI Guitar, you might be able to create a new patch and load a synth in here. Now, just keep in mind, you can't load AUV3s inside AUV3s, so you'll never ever get a third-party synth to load in here. Like, for example, if I tried to, I'm trying to find an instrument. Okay, there's a little bit of a problem here in that when you try to use the keyboard for instruments, right, the Logic is intercepting them. So I'm going to use my finger here, just tap on this. That's probably the easiest way to get it. So I was just going to grab a, a very well-known plugin, and you can see no compatible plugin format exists for this plugin. It's not that the plugin doesn't exist, it's just that it can't be loaded inside an AUV3. However, we are kind of lucky in that we can load a Jam Origin instrument. So if you like the original sound, like the JX10 AM synth from MIDI Guitar 2, you've got the same synth in here. You can see we've got direction. And just to like make this crystal clear, I'm gonna just block the lead. Now, what can we do to bring this synth to life a little bit? Now, I'm not all that thrilled with solid backing. Is there anything in here which I could use? That's not really the kind of sound I would use, so it's probably not the way to go. Maybe I quite like that. Okay, so what if I leave that in, unmute my guitar, bring the volume down of that a bit, and the one of this one up a bit. Brought it up a little bit too much. Yeah, it's quite high. Okay, so you've got that option that you can load up the original synth in here. I suppose you could also use the introduction patch if you really wanted to. And you know, that's not the richest. We could just give it a hair of verb or delay or something. I'll put the chroma verb on it again. I quite like that set we had before. So in chrome verb, I went for a synth reverb. Maybe I'll go for a large synth room. Okay, so I kind of hate that sound, actually, that moving lead. It's unpleasant, so I might just remove some of these. And just go for something a little bit more, I don't know, what have I got? No, not that. That's an effect. Okay, we'll go for Gig Fast Light, old reliable. Good sound. We can get the gate going there. Okay, so automatically got a great sound. I think this plugin costs like $3 or something. There's free things too, like, you know, if we didn't want to go for that, we could try there's a plugin I've seen used a bit lately. Let me just bypass this one and I'll put in I think it's called Primo. Is it? Yeah. I'm probably the last to know. I'm sure this is not a new plugin. I don't think it is anyway. So like, what do we got here? We've got factory. We've got a lead, hard rock lead. Okay, I've got some effects or anything with the overdrive on. Yeah, I don't think it has delay and reverb, but that's fine. Let's find another reverb. Maybe an Eventide one. Black hole. It's probably a little bit over the top, but I'll just put down a little bit of it in there. I'm not convinced that's even active. I can't hear it. Okay, so this is working. I should probably point out there is an application called BOM for iOS. I think it's about $20 US, and it enables you to create virtual MIDI ports. Now, that might work in here. The other possibility is with MIDI Guitar 3, I think we have a virtual. If we have a look in the MIDI ports here, Logic Pro Virtual In. Whoops. maybe we can use that. Maybe we get rid of these ports. Let's get rid of everything except for that. We might be able to use that in MIDI Guitar 3. Let's see. I don't know what Chromaverb's doing. Okay, so I put that on to help with the other patch, but I'm going to go back to MIDI Guitar Mini. I'm going to try this out. So where is... Okay, Logic Pro Virtual In. Let's see what happens. Is that going to help us? Now I'm going to go over to Moving Lead. Sorry, I'm not going to go to Moving Lead. I'm going to add a MIDI instrument in again. Intro synth is fine, it's what we've been working with, and I'm going to move it up. Okay, that's the synth. And it's fine, I need to select this one here. The MIDI input is going to be Logic Pro Virtual In. Okay. Okay, well that's good to know. You can use the Logic Pro Virtual MIDI port to move your MIDI around. That saves you having to use the internal MIDI in, which is obviously not quite good enough. So that's pretty much it, I think, for today. Just the last thing, we'll just do a recording. Hang on, we won't be doing a recording like that. Let's just activate all tracks. Okay. Now that's interesting. I don't know why this particular instrument has decided not to why would it not capture that? It's actually stopped. Something changed with this. It's lost its input. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. It could be because I disarmed that one. And so I think we're hit with the same issue here, that moving lead is an audio track. So if I wanted to record all of these, I guess I have to remove it. Okay, and I have to put in a MIDI track with a... so how do I do this? I'm just trying to remember. MIDI. And I have to go down here to MIDI controlled effects, and I have to go to Altera DSP, Gig Fast Light. Okay, and if I do create, okay, so in Gig Fast Light, same thing, sidechain, input, bus. DI is the input. So increasing the gain's triggering the gate better. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so in this case now, the DI is funneling into MIDI Guitar 3 and into the instrument 2, which is, that's not amp, that's synth. Okay, and this is amp. And now with all these tracks activated, I should be able to record. I need to make sure that this goes back to 1, rewind, there we go. Okay, so we've now got track, and I'm just going to solo the synth and the amp, and let's see what we've got. so because the guitar track is always getting fed, it's actually caught the MIDI from the other track that's saved in, and that's actually not really what we want. So we're going to say off, and we're going to delete that. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Just one track, please. Just delete that one track. And I think if we solo both of these and we play it back, okay, we can hear the guitar now. If we want to actually print that, I think I would need to try and bounce it in place or something. Can you do that in the mobile version? I'm not sure. There must be a way. The other option is to create a new audio track and simply capture the audio from this track via another bus onto there and just print it down like that. Anyway, that's it. So my final verdict is, honestly, I think Logic Pro for iPad is not really quite as, obviously it's not as developed as the desktop version. It's functional. I'm finding it really clunky to use. I can't move fast. Maybe it's because I'm using the mouse, but I've only got a 12.9 inch iPad, and I typically have it sitting up on a stand on the desk next to the computer. So if I want to use the iPad, it's not really super convenient to reach out and touch it. It's kind of like more convenient to use the mouse and reach over occasionally. So I'm not feeling it. I'm not in love with it. I guess I could possibly, grab it for a month at a time or something and use it for a project or something, but I'm not likely to dive into this one. In terms of its integration with MIDI Guitar 3, it's fine. MIDI Guitar 3 will work with anything if you know the tricks. So yeah, I can't really fault it too much on that. So what do you think? Is it a musical tool for the iPad that you'd be likely to use? Am I missing the point? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What's the word? What are the MIDI guitarists of the world feeling about Logic Pro for iPad? I think I'm going to give it a miss for now, but I'm not going to completely knock it off the radar. If it has any interesting updates or anything, I may come back to it. But anyway, there it is. The other cool thing, I guess if you are into Logic Pro ecosystem deeply, you can then take your presets from this particular version, and I guess it's like when you open it, these Logic Pro for iPad projects can be launched on your desktop, so that might be an interesting thing to explore. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you all stay well, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, or whatever variety of the end of year festivities you choose to celebrate. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.